Good afternoon, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are going to be bringing you the latest updates on the Nancy Guthrie manhunt and search. However, in just a couple minutes, there is supposed to be a police update in Canada about the terrible school shooting there yesterday. So I am planning on bringing you live coverage of the police briefing on the Tumbler Ridge shooting. Oh, also, Prime Minister Carney is supposed to be speaking. Just right now. Hold on, Prime Minister Carney is supposed to speak about the Tumbler Ridge shooting. So let me get that on the screen. Hold on a moment. Just hold on a moment. Sorry. Again, Prime Minister Carney is going to speak on the school shooting yesterday in Canada. So we're going to cover that real quick.
No more pictures.
Supposed to be coming up. Oops, hold on. Hang on.
Coming. On va aller à l'autre porte.
That'll happen probably once all the speeches are done, but just be in position here just to get the departure shot, just for editing. Yeah. I don't think we need to ask him things. I think we need to edit.
You don't think you need what?
I don't think we need to ask him anything, but I think we just need a departure shot, because I don't know what he's going to say in there, and it's the
Give me a moment, guys. I'm just trying to get everything organized for you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks for your patience. That's better. So there was this horrible school shooting in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. Oh, hold on, the police are giving a briefing. Hold on, I want to get the police briefing. The police briefing's happening too, so we're going to cover both of those. Are they going to happen at the same time? All right, there's the police briefing, and then there's Carney speaking. I think Carney's supposed to speak first. So I have both ready to show you. Okay? I have both ready to show you. I don't know which one's going to happen first. Try something here. No, that's not it. Okay, so again, we're going to be focusing in the stream on the Nancy Guthrie search and manhunt, but we're starting by giving you coverage of this horrible school shooting yesterday in Canada. And hang on. This was a school shooting in British Columbia, Tumbler Ridge, and it was yesterday, and 9 people were killed, plus the shooter, I believe it was. The motive is unclear. More than 25 people were wounded, and both Prime Minister Carney speaking and the police update are supposed to happen now. But I'm a little confused because we're just waiting here. This was in Tumbler Ridge, AP says a village of 2,700 people in the Canadian Rockies, over 600 miles northeast of Vancouver. Yeah, guys, TMZ got another letter today, but it does not appear to be a letter from the same person. It does not appear to be a letter from the kidnapper, the TMZ note. They said it was a strange note from somebody who claimed to know something about the kidnapper and was asking for a Bitcoin in response. We'll talk about that after. But again, that is not another letter from the person who sent the first 2 letters. Certainly doesn't look like it, because the first 2 letters seem to be from a person who was claiming to be the kidnapper. By the way, the shooter has been identified, according to CP24, as Jesse Strong, as BNO News posted earlier today. Jesse Strong, Jessessestrang. Some online reports, like, hold on a second. Now I'm confused. Hold on a second.
Mr. Speaker, this morning, families in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia.
Is he speaking now? Why can't we see it? Are we just seeing the outside of the parliament? I'm sorry. Hold on. Maybe I have the inside. This is the Reuters feed, but we're seeing outside. Hold on. Hang on. I have it. I'm sorry. Let me get the other feed up. I don't know why on this feed we're only seeing outside. What's happening? I have the feed. Give me a second. I'm going to get it up for you. Hang on. I'm really sorry. Let me get it on the screen for you. I think I should have it here.
The investigation is ongoing. We must allow law enforcement the time and space.
I can see it. Give me a moment. Give me a moment.
Mr. Speaker, this is House knows. Tumbler Ridge is a community of some 2,400 people nestled in the foothills.
One moment.
It is one of the youngest
Here it is. I can see it right now. Where's the volume? Let me get the volume for you. Here we go. Coming up.
Has left our nation in shock and all of us in mourning. 9 people killed, more than 25 others injured, some still in hospital fighting for their lives. The investigation is ongoing, and we must allow law enforcement the time and space to do their work accordingly. Mr. Speaker, as this House knows, Tumbler Ridge is a community of some 2,400 people nestled in the foothills of the Rockies. It is one of the youngest towns in the great province of British Columbia. It's carved out of the wilderness in the 1980s, built on the promise of the resource economy and by the determination of its residents. It's a town of miners, teachers, construction workers, families who have built their lives there, people who have always shown up for each other there. When wildfires raged, neighbors helped each other pack up and move out of harm's way. They checked in on seniors and those living alone. They made sure that no one was left behind. When the coal mine shut down, residents supported local businesses. They shared leads for jobs, and they lifted each other up. Mr. Speaker, Tumbler Ridge represents the very best of Canada, resilient, compassionate, and strong. Hier matin.
Yesterday morning, parents in Tumbler Ridge sent their children off to school, and some will never be able to hug their children again. These children and their teachers bore witness to unheard of cruelty. I want everyone to know this. Our entire country stands with you on behalf of all Canadians. I offer my prayers to the victims, to their families and friends, to all those who were injured, and to all those whose lives have been forever changed.
To express my profound gratitude to the first responders, the RCMP officers who entered immediately that school, not knowing what awaited them, to the paramedics and medical staff at the Tumbler Ridge Health Centre, to the teachers and the school staff who acted with extraordinary courage to protect the children in their care. In the darkest of moments, they showed the best of our country. I have spoken with Premier Eby to express my condolences and those of the Government of Canada. The Minister of Public Safety has been coordinating the federal response and is en route to Tumbler Ridge with the Premier and Minister Robertson. The MP, Bob Zimmer, is already there. Our officials are in close contact with their provincial and local counterparts to ensure that the community receives every support that we can provide now and in the weeks and months ahead. Mr. Speaker, we have been here before. École Polytechnique in Montreal, the Islamic Cultural Centre of Quebec City, La Loche, Saskatchewan, Humboldt, Saskatchewan, Potepic, Nova Scotia. Each time, it breaks us open. Each time, Canadians show who we are. Mr. Speaker, in the days ahead, there'll be important questions to ask. difficult conversations to have. We owe that to the victims and their families. But now, it's time for grieving and remembrance. Now is for the people of Tumbler Ridge and the Peace River region, for a community that is enduring the unimaginable. Il y a quelques instants, Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, a few moments ago, we held a moment of silence for the grieving community and families. For many of them today, silence is only too heavy. We will never be able to fully reconcile ourselves with the senseless violence that tore apart Tumbler Ridge yesterday. But we can seek comfort from each other, and we can take care of each other.
To those families who have lost loved ones, this House mourns with you. To those who are recovering from injuries, this House prays for you. To the students, the teachers, the parents, every resident of Tumbler Ridge, all of Canada stands with you. May the memories of those lost be a blessing. May this community, which has shown its resilience so many times before, once again find the strength to heal. And may this House prove worthy of what Tumbler Ridge has always been, by striving to make Canada a better, kinder, and safer place. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Hold on. So that was Prime Minister Carney. Shortly, there's going to be a police update about this school shooting in Tumbler Ridge, which I want to show you. Right now, I think the opposition leader is speaking. Hold on a second here. Give me a second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you, Prime Minister, for your eloquent words. I'm sure words that you never wanted to deliver on the floor of this chamber. As fathers, we both know the feeling of sending our kids to school, hoping that they'll play and perform, laugh and learn, but most of all, come home to us in our loving arms at night. Sure, there's the odd skinned knee or sore belly when they get back, but that's usually the worst of our concerns. Yesterday, as we were tucking our kids in, I got a terrible phone call from Bob Zimmer, the Member of Parliament, who represents Tumbler Ridge, telling me that a shooting had occurred, and though details were not yet well known, it was going to be bad. And those details have come in. Children who should have been thinking about homework and hockey were instead thrown into terror, grief, and unbearable uncertainty. 9 lives were stolen, 25 injured, 9 families devastated, an entire community in grief. That community is the best of Canada, a community of miners and loggers, hard-working people, hardy, strong, the kind of people who fight their own battles but never hesitate to help a neighbor in need. They are the backbone of this nation. Behind every number is a name, a child, a friend, a teacher, a neighbor, a family member, each with a story. For as the rabbi said, each life is its own universe. As a father, I can only imagine the phone call or visit that brought the news, the panic, the helplessness, the heartache that followed. No parent should ever have to fear that their child will not return home from school. No parent should ever bury their own child. En tant que père,
As a father, I can only imagine the call or visit to announce the news, the panic, the helplessness, the grief that followed. No parent should ever have to fear for their child's life at school, and no parent should ever have to bury their own child.
Families who've lost loved ones, there are no words that can comfort or verses that can console. All we have is the words of all members of this House that we are with you, and that in the memories you carry of your loved ones, they will live on in this world, even after they have passed into the next one. To the young people who were in that school, I've had indirect accounts shared with me, and I can't even imagine what you witnessed or the horrors that to which you have borne witness. I cannot comfort you or heal those wounds other than to say that the whole nation wraps its arms around you. To the people of Tumbler Ridge, Canadians across the land are thinking of you. The world is thinking of you. We know that in your small, tight-knit community, grief spreads across families, workplaces, churches, and friend groups, and know that all of us stand with you. To the courageous police, paramedics, firefighters, and other first responders, to the staff who risk their lives to save their kids, thank you for your incredible courage. All of us owe you a permanent debt of gratitude. To the pastors, the priests, the clergy, the medical and the mental health professionals whose daunting task now is to bind up the wounds. May God be with you in your work. And on behalf of the official opposition, as I told the Prime Minister moments ago, we will be with you, with the provincial leaders, with local government, and we will do everything we can to support this community through this hardship. We all stand together. There is no partisanship on this day. And that includes the work that we give in support of our emergency first responders who will, of course, be traumatized, but will be carrying out continued efforts on behalf of the community. And to the RCMP, we will support you in your work as you gather up the facts and complete your investigation, and in good time, at the appropriate moment, make all the facts, indeed all the facts, known to Canadians. And we commit ourselves to being present for all those who have lost so much, long after the limelight is gone, but while the grief remains. And so those who suffer today, we offer you our prayers, and for all those who do pray, I ask you to share a prayer with the wonderful people of this amazing town. As the great psalm said, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me, O Lord. Thank you.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So we were just hearing from the opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre. We heard from Prime Minister Carney. I think they're going to have some more speakers in Parliament right now in Canada, but in a short while, they're supposed to have a police update on this terrible school shooting in Canada yesterday. And that was in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep an eye out for the police press conference. And when that starts, we'll go to that and we'll get you that update on that. We'll get you that update from the police on the shooting yesterday, okay? So I have that queued up here, and I'm looking at it, and we will bring that to you live, okay? I want to update you on the Nancy Guthrie search and manhunt too. Talk about that for a second, and we're gonna be talking about that today. But I did want to bring you this update on the school shooting in Canada. So again, police press conference coming up about the school shooting in Canada. I think after a couple more speakers in Parliament. So I will keep an eye, and as soon as that starts, I will have that live for you. Also, let's see here. I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank our moderators. We have Janet B. and Ruth moderating right now. I appreciate it over there on YouTube. And we have moderating, hang on a moment. Hang on a second here. Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha on X. The school shooting was yesterday in Tumbler Ridge. I got that fire. Matthew Kohai 3, Sarah on Twitch modding, thank you. And on Facebook, thanks so much to our moderators there. We have modding right now, sorry. Ava Knight is moderating over there, thank you. And Kay Lowry Body, thanks to all of our, Margaret Riley, thanks to all of our moderators there. Again, just in a couple minutes, there will be live police update about the school shooting yesterday in Canada, which we will have for you live. A quick thank you to the Sick G-Man, Doc No 27, Gary Baines, Old Boy Pona, I Am Charlie, and As Was 965 on YouTube. And Tenfold over there on Twitch, and Flumpington's on Twitch. Okay, so again, I'm just watching out of the corner of my eye for the police briefing to start, and we'll go to that. Now, if you missed it last night, guys, Pima County Sheriff's Department took a person into custody last night in the Nancy Guthrie investigation. And then several hours later, they let the person go. That person's mother had done TV interviews where she said, my son-in-law lives with me, has nothing to do with this. He was driving around doing DoorDash with his wife and kids in the car, and they pulled him over and they took him into custody. Then I guess they broke down, she said they broke down the doors of her house, but they let him go. And then there's I don't believe there's been a statement about this from the police. I believe all the police have said is we're at no press conference today. I don't know that we ever got a statement from police about the person being let go. No, we didn't. I mean, look, here is right here. Here's the Pima County Sheriff's Department social media right here. Oops, that's obviously not live. Ottawa, Canada. I'm live. But so last 16 hours ago, earlier today, Pima County Sheriff's Department deputies detained a subject during a traffic stop south of Tucson. The subject is currently being questioned in connection to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. No announcement ever about him being released. And then they said 2 hours ago, there are no press briefings or interviews scheduled at this time. Should a significant development occur, a press conference will be called and media will be notified via email and our Pima Sheriff X account. Although before they had said that, and then when somebody was taken into custody, they didn't have, this is February 9th. Should a significant development occur, a press conference will be called. Well, they didn't have one when they took a person into custody, and they didn't have a press conference when they released the person from custody. Oh, hold on one second. Let me just do a quick check here. Hold on. Why am I not seeing? Hang on. I see. Hold on. One moment. Okay. Keeping an eye on, that is the upcoming police press conference is that Ottawa? No, what is it? It's going to be British Columbia, I would assume. Surrey, British Columbia. That's where that is. Surrey, British Columbia. So we're waiting for the police to start their press conference on yesterday's school shooting. So I'm keeping an eye on that. Hasn't started yet. Anyways, so no press conference, no press briefings or interviews scheduled at this time from Pima County Sheriff's Department. They didn't even release a statement last night, late last night, when the person they took into custody was released. Also, I don't think that the FBI released any statement about the person being taken into custody or released ever. So I don't know what's going on with that. We really don't have much from law enforcement about that. But that person has been released. Okay? There is more searching going on by roadsides today. I've seen some video of this, and also if you look here, I'll show you. The FBI said, this morning, numerous FBI agents are conducting an extensive search along multiple roadways in the Catalina foothills area related to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. We are asking the media and motorists to follow all traffic laws and to remain especially cautious when passing law enforcement personnel near the roadways. She has now been missing, Nancy Guthrie, for 10 days, give or take, because she went missing Saturday night / Sunday morning. Was it the 31st? To pull up my calendar and see what day it was. It was Saturday night, Sunday morning, which would have been the 31st of January into February 1st. And today is February 11th. Okay? So we're keeping an eye on that. I don't know that I've heard of any major developments today. Again, TMZ said that they got a note from somebody who was asking for a Bitcoin in exchange for information about the kidnapper. And they said the note sounded strange. I'll try to get you something about that. Hold on one second here. I posted something about it earlier. Again, momentarily, we're supposed to have a press conference in Canada from the police about the school shooting yesterday. Yeah, AP says TMZ reported it received a message today from someone claiming to know the kidnapper's identity, and that they said they unsuccessfully, the person who wrote them this message, TMZ, claimed they unsuccessfully tried to reach Savannah Guthrie's brother and sister. The person asked for a Bitcoin in exchange for the information, TMZ said. Harvey Levin, what word did he use to describe this? I was listening to him before, of TMZ. He said it was kind of bizarre, the letter. So again, I don't believe that letter is written by the same person who wrote the ransom note and the second note, assuming those two were written by the same. Our viewer text thinks not credible. A little later, we'll also talk about this whole situation with the El Paso airspace, which in like the middle of the night last night, the FAA said the El Paso airspace was basically closed. Well, El Paso airport was basically closed for 10 days. All of a sudden, they announced this with no warning. And then this morning, they said it wasn't closed anymore. And then there's reporting that says that the Defense Department was testing some kind of anti-drone laser weapon and shot down a party balloon nearby. It's a whole thing. So we'll talk about that too. We're going to talk about that. But let's, for the moment, again, in a few minutes, in just a few minutes, we're supposed to have this press conference from the police in Canada about the terrible school shooting yesterday. So we're going to bring you that. And before we do that, we'll talk some more about the search, the Nancy Guthrie search and the manhunt, and we'll have more updates for you. Let's see here. West Radio says this Nancy Guthrie case just feels so weird. H. Schwartz says lots of weirdos coming out of the woodwork. Trade Like Ace says, what if the kidnapper is watching everything happen at this time? I do wonder how much media coverage whoever took Nancy is seeing or listening to. Then one of our viewers, ex-fire medic, mentioned TMZ had made a statement today about this letter they had received. Hang on a moment here. Oh my gosh, James Vanderbeek is dead at 48? Guys, James Vanderbeek died according to TMZ. Terrible. James Vanderbeek has died. He was 48. No cause of death was given, says TMZ. He was battling cancer. He was battling stage 3 colorectal cancer in late 2024. Star of Dawson's Creek. Again, TMZ said in 2024, he said he was battling stage 3 colorectal cancer. I don't know if that's the cause of death. Terrible. Condolences to his family. That's awful. Hold on. I'm sorry to transition. I got to get the police press conference on the screen here. The one coming up from British Columbia, Canada. Here's that, okay? I know a lot's going on. TMZ literally says James Vanderbeek has died. He was 48. And they say that his wife shared the death announcement on an Instagram post. His wife reported that he is dead. Oh, hold on a second. The picture went out. Give it a moment. Waiting to get the press conference. What happened there? Hold on. Hold on, here it is. Here's the press conference. Press conference. Press conference.
The RCMP Commanding Officer, Deputy Commissioner Dwayne McDonald, will provide a statement shortly and will be available to take questions afterwards. Additionally, for any French-speaking reporters, we have Corporal Alex Barube available online to respond to questions in French as well. Sir.
Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. And I recognize the significant interest not only the media but the public have in this event, so I will endeavor to do my best to inform you as up to date as possible and to provide some information moving forward about how we will manage our communications. I'll just start with a review of the incident from yesterday. So on February 10th at approximately 1:20 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at Tumbler Ridge, RCMP received a report of an active shooter at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. A police-initiated public alert, PIPA, was issued as officers responded. Police from Tumbler Ridge RCMP and surrounding detachments responded immediately, with members from the local detachment arriving within 2 minutes of the initial call. Upon arrival, there was active gunfire, and as officers approached the school, rounds were fired in their direction. Officers entered the school to locate the threat. Within minutes, an individual confirmed to be the shooter was located deceased, with what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The suspect has been identified as 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar, who is a resident of Tumbler Ridge. 2 firearms, a long gun and a modified handgun, were recovered by responding officers. Determining the origin of these firearms and what role they played in the shootings remains a significant part of the active and ongoing investigation. Multiple victims were located throughout the school, along with approximately 25 individuals with possible injuries. Once it was determined to be safe, officers evacuated over 100 students and faculty to a local community center, while police continued to assess whether any ongoing threats remained. Those with potential injuries were transported to the local medical clinic for triage and assessment, and 2 victims with significant injuries were transported to hospital via air ambulance. Following a medical assessment of the individuals, no discernible physical injuries were identified for those that remained at scene. I'd like to correct some information that was shared yesterday and to clarify that 9 people in total are deceased as a result of this incident. Initially, it was believed that one of the victims, a female with significant injuries, who was transported from the scene by our members and then transitioned to paramedics, had succumbed to her injuries. Police have since confirmed that is not the case. She is alive and was one of the 2 female victims that were airlifted to hospital. Both of those victims remain in serious condition. The deceased victims from the school include an adult female educator, 3 female students, and 2 male students between the ages of 13 and 17. 2 additional victims, an adult female and a male youth, were located deceased in the local residence. The BC Major Crime Unit has assumed conduct of the investigation and is working to determine the full circumstances surrounding this tragic incident. There's been much speculation within the community regarding the relationship between the shooter and some of the victims. All of that remains part of the active and ongoing investigation. We are not in a position to publicly confirm any specifics at this time. Additional resources have been deployed to Tumbler Ridge to support both the investigation and day-to-day policing operations, which continue with the assistance of our neighboring detachments. BC Emergency Health Services, the Tumbler Ridge Fire Department, the local medical center, the school district, the community center, and many others within the community have provided significant support throughout this response. Anyone in the community who does not need support, who does need support, is asked to go to the Tumbler Ridge Community Center at 340 Front Street. We understand the community has questions, and we understand they want to know the motive behind this tragic incident. We do believe the suspect acted alone, and there are currently no other outstanding suspects. Our investigators remain on scene, actively gathering information to determine the full circumstances of what transpired. This is a deeply distressing incident where 9 individuals have senselessly lost their lives. Our thoughts are with the families, the loved ones, the first responders in the greater Tumbler Ridge community, and all those impacted by this tragic incident. If you have questions, I'm prepared to take them at this time.
Was he known to police? Were there any red flags regarding his mental health?
So a suspect is identified as an 18-year-old female by the name of Jessie. We have a history of police attendance at the family residence. Some of those calls were related to mental health issues.
Could you spell the suspect's name, please?
Yes. The first name is spelt Jesse. The surname is spelt capital VAN, then space, capital ROOTSELAAR.
Were the 2 victims found at the residence where the suspect lived?
Yes.
And Why can't you elaborate on the relationship between the victims and in that residence and
I can't elaborate on that. So it is believed the victims of that residence and the suspect are family members.
can you say what parent sibling, what relationship that is?
Yes, the female adult victim is the mother of the suspect, and the youth male is the brother of the suspect, or stepbrother.
Can you expand, you talked about the history of mental health with this female suspect. Could you expand on that?
I'll give you perhaps remaining some general comments on that. Police had attended that residence on multiple occasions over the past several years, dealing with concerns of mental health with respect to our suspect. I can say that on different occasions the suspect was apprehended for assessment and follow-up.
So apprehended under the Mental Health Act?
Yes.
Taken to hospital?
In some circumstances, yes.
Any indication whether or not the suspect was receiving any help for their mental health situation regarding counseling, any of those services that are involved?
I don't have that information at this time if the suspect was currently receiving care. I don't have that information at this time.
Any of the interactions with police, did any of them have to do with weapons?
Yes.
In particular?
Yes.
Could you expand on that, please?
I will say that, again, I'm not trying to be too circumspect, but police have attended that residence in the past, approximately a couple of years ago, where firearms were seized under the criminal code. I can say that at a later point in time, the lawful owner of those firearms petitioned for those firearms to be returned, and they were.
Were criminal charges laid in relation to those firearms?
No.
What
firearm with FYI media? My question is, we've heard all around the world reports coming out from different media, not local but world, and we've heard people from Tumbler Ridge, actually people that know the shooter, and they are all saying that this person is transgender. Why is the RCMP not speaking to this? Why are we hiding this from the public?
Well, first off, thank you for your question. We're not hiding it. In fact, you're the first media to ask the question. I will say this. We identified the suspect as they chose to be identified in public and in social media. I can say that Jesse was born as a biological male who approximately, the information that I have, approximately 6 years ago began to transition to female and identified as female both socially and publicly.
Unfortunately, we've heard a lot of transgender as mass shootings. Do you think there's a correlation here?
It's too early to say whether that has any correlation in this investigation. I think it's important to recognize that this investigation is still in its infancy. We have scenes still lock down the school and the residence while we execute search warrants and gather further evidence and talk to witnesses that may have further evidence for police.
Can you tell us about the weapon? I'm just wondering, can you tell me when police, prior to yesterday, last in contact with Jesse?
That's a good question. I probably have that answer somewhere here in my papers, but I believe we were there sometime last year.
So nothing in the last few days?
Nothing in the last few days, that's correct.
Okay, and you talked about the guns that were
Mhm.
recovered. And can you say anything about who owned those guns, whether he had any sort of...
So I will say this. I know the guns are of significant interest to everybody. Part of the reason we haven't identified the specific models of the firearms or ownership is because at this point in time our investigators continue to pursue those leads. We want to make sure that the information we do provide is accurate. We want to ensure that we can identify properly the ownership of the firearms, how they were procured, whether they were lawfully owned, unlawfully owned, whether they were manufactured, and whether there could be any other parties to an offense that we are not yet aware of. So when we are able to release that information, we certainly will.
He was quite young. Did he have a license?
I can say that she had a license that had expired. I believe it was in 2024. She did not have any firearms registered to her.
Can you talk about, sir, any indication in the information you have regarding Jesse experiencing bullying at the school, any sort of difficulty at the school because of this transition from male to female?
I do not have any information to suggest that was the case. I can say that Jesse dropped out of school approximately 4 years ago and was not currently attending the school.
Sir, I have a question here from Jared from the Western Standard. They wanted to just know why we waited until now to confirm the identity of the suspect.
It's a good question. I know it's one of concern, specifically with the speed of social media. I think it's important to recognize that yesterday, when we first provided a media availability, it was approximately 5 hours after the active shooter event. At that point in time, we were still trying to lock down locations. We had victims that we were evacuating. As you can imagine, the scene was quite chaotic with significant amount of trauma. And it's important for us, when we do release information, to get it accurate. I point to the case of now having to correct and say that there's only 9 deceased persons instead of 10. We want to get information out as quick as possible, but we also appreciate that that information needs to be accurate, because particularly when we're dealing with victims or dealing with the identity of a suspect, we have to take into consideration, in this case, our suspect was deceased. We had to locate next of kin to notify them. So I would hate, notwithstanding the public interest, I would hate for someone to find out that their loved one was deceased coming from our podium or coming from the news media in advance of being told in person.
And then I have one other question here from Ruth with Energetic City. Was the suspect related to anyone in the school?
I can say that the suspect was not related to any of the victims of the school. I don't have any broader information beyond that, other than say that the suspect was related to the 2 victims at the private residence.
Did the suspect leave a note or any other communication in advance of this happening?
Not that we've located so far, but we are continuing to pursue that lead.
Sir, are you able to give us sort of what the police's working theory is on why this happened?
Well, we don't have an idea yet as to motive. And again, recognizing we're still less than 24 hours into this incident, it is something that we are certainly passionately pursuing. But it would be too early to speculate on motive at this time.
Was there a bolt put out to be on the lookout for prior to the shootings regarding the suspect?
Not that I'm aware of, but once the shootings commenced, we did issue the public police alert.
And did police open fire on the suspect?
Police did not return fire, to the best of my knowledge, but went into the school.
Where in the school were the victims killed?
There was one victim that was located deceased in the hallway, in the stairwell of the school, and the others were located, I believe, in the library of the school.
Can you comment on the home of the shooter? What was it like? Was it in disarray? Sometimes when there's some sort of abuse going on, there's certain things you can see in a home. Was it anything like that apparent?
I can't comment yet on the nature or the environment of the family home. It was locked down originally to secure a search warrant in order to allow our investigators to go in. So I can't comment at this point in time. I do have that information. It will be locked down, so I would respectfully ask members of the media and the public not to attend the scene of the family home, because we have a lot going on there, but it's 112 Fellers Avenue in Tumbler Ridge.
Regarding the home, were there additional firearms or weapons found during the search?
I don't have that information at this point in time. I can say that historically there were firearms that were secured at that residence in a safe, but I haven't updated with the investigators yet to determine if they've gone in and located more firearms.
Just looking for clarification, you talked about police being called to the school about an active shooting. Were they called to the home before that?
Yes, no, they were called after. So we understand the sequence of events, and I'll get to this. So we did not receive a call to attend the home until approximately 2:47 p.m. or 1:47 p.m. Pacific time. We were called because a neighbor, there was a young female at that home that went to the neighbors, and that's how we learned that there were 2 deceased at that residence. So the neighbor called the police. We know the sequence of events now is that the incident at the home occurred first, where we have the 2 deceased family members, and from there our suspect attended the school and commenced their criminal activity there.
What was the relationship of the child who alerted the neighbor to the victims and the suspect?
Family member.
Has the reunification process been completed for the injured and the evacuees?
For the students, and so most of the what I would call injured individuals are people that were assessed for injury were released right in Tumbler Ridge shortly after receiving triage and or treatment. Those that have been medevaced, I can't speak to that, but I won't speculate on whether they've been in contact with their family. We're still dealing with extended family of those that are deceased.
Do police believe, based on the information you have thus far, that the suspect had gone into the school specifically targeting an individual, or it was a random shooting?
So we don't have information at this point to suggest that anyone was specifically targeted. I will say that as we continue in the investigation, there is further evidence to gather from the school with respect to video surveillance and that of our officers as well.
What can we expect with the victim IDs? Will the RCMP be naming them, and what status are you at with family notification?
So we're currently ongoing with the family notification. I will say, as I mentioned before, that most of our victims are quite young. Most were born of the students, most were born 2013 and 2012. So as you can imagine, for family members, extended family members, friends of the family, et cetera, this is incredibly traumatic. And so we will deal with and work with the families and cooperate with them in terms of the release of the identities of the victims, photographs, and the like. I know we need to approach this with a trauma-informed practice. We don't want to create additional trauma for families that are dealing with probably the worst circumstances of their lives.
So some victims may not be named officially, or that will be up to the families?
That will be up to the families as they are minors.
In terms of the 25 people who were injured, how many of them sustained gunshot wounds?
So of the 25 surviving individuals, the 2 that are currently airlifted, the majority of the rest, there were not gunshot injuries. The reason they were all examined and triaged in first instance is there were a lot that presented with injury, blood, et cetera, that weren't actually injured, but we had to work through all that.
So what kind of injuries were they? Was it like glass? Or?
I don't want to speculate. I don't have the exact details, but you can imagine in a chaotic situation where the students and faculty are barricading themselves in a room that any types of injuries could result.
Were there any, you mentioned that there weren't any no recent involvement with police and the suspect, but were there any calls, concerns by anyone in the public to police about the suspect in recent days, weeks, months?
The most recent incidents I have are from spring of last year. So we've checked our police indices, their databases, et cetera. I don't have any information that there's been anything since then.
And could you give us the context of the spring of last year?
Similar to what I said before, the concerns regarding mental health, self-harm, those types of concerns.
Okay, we'll take 2 final questions.
Just to clarify the question on the injured. So was it 27 injured in total and 2 airlifted, 25, or was it?
So I don't mean to smile, but to clarify that, I'm going to say I'm not entirely certain, because we have injured from gunshot wounds, we have deceased, and then we have those that were triaged at scene. I'm going to say that the 25 that were triaged at scene are separate from those that were airlifted and those that are deceased.
And, sir, we just have one other question here regarding the victims. The ones that were airlifted, do we have any updates on their status at this point?
Critical but stable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Sorry, I'm just going to need to steal this.
You can take the whole thing.
I just wanted to quickly correct one thing that just came in as Sir was up here speaking. So for the deceased victims, the school included a 39-year-old female educator, 3 12-year-old female students, 2 male students ages 12 and 13, and then the 2 additional victims were a 39-year-old female and an 11-year-old male that were located deceased at the local residence. We will be issuing a statement shortly following this availability.
Okay, so that was the police update from Canada, and so again, if I'm getting all these details right, there were 9 total deaths, including the shooter who is believed to have killed herself. And I'm describing this as the police described it. The police said the shooter, they said the name was Jesse Van Rootselaar. Canadian media, a number of major outlets have said it was Jesse Strong. And I didn't hear that clarified in the press briefing, so I'm a little confused about that. But the police said the shooter is a biological male who had been transitioning to female. So they were using the word she, they said, because that is how the shooter identified herself. So anyways, so the shooter was dead, and then the shooter killed the shooter's mother and stepbrother at home, and then at the, if I heard this right at the end, there were 5 students killed at the school. And I believe the ages given for the students killed at the school were 4 12-year-olds and 1 13-year-old, and also a 39-year-old teacher. And then there were a number of people injured, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact details on the seriousness of the injuries. I'd have to go back and watch that again. So I'm sorry, I was checking some other news when this was going on, trying to get the details here. So I don't remember I don't want to give you false information. I don't remember the exact details about all the injuries. But anyways, there's no motive given in this yet. The shooter, I believe, was 18 years old, and the shooter dropped out of school 4 years ago and was not currently attending school, if I remember that right from the press conference. So I didn't hear an age. I might have missed it. Yesterday, I believe the shooter was said to be 18. Did it say today that the shooter was 18? Again, if the shooter is, according to the police, a biological male who had been transitioning to a female. So I'll say the shooter or she, but I know some of you have your different pronoun choices. So, so if I do, just know, that's the background here. Did they say 18 again? Some of our viewers have said it was said 18 again. I believe 18 was said yesterday. So I believe the age was 18. There was something about that there had been mental health calls to the house previously. But we don't have a motive at this point. Don't have a note at this point, I don't believe. But they're looking for that, and they're looking into motive. So if I have that right. But again, I'm confused over a number of Canadian media outlets, including CTV. CTV said it was Jesse Strong, and I've seen other. I think CP24 said Jesse Strong, and then today police said Jesse Van Rootselaar. So I don't know if maybe the person went by 2 different names, or there's a family thing or something like that. Because I guess the shooter had a step brother who he killed. So, anyways, I don't know. I can't clarify that. Anyways, again, we don't have a motive in this. I'd have to go back. I don't think I'm going to do it now, but I'd have to go back If we were covering just this, I might go back and watch again and get the details about the different mental health stuff. So I don't remember all of the details said in the press conference. You can go back and rewind it if you want. But I also don't know, maybe you know this. Was it said yesterday or today whether the shooter was a resident of Tumbler Ridge? Had the shooter previously attended that school? Because the shooter was not in school now. Had the shooter previously attended that school? But the shooter was 18 and the student victims were all 12 and 13 at the school. So it wasn't like the peer age group. And then Alexander said previously apprehended under the Mental Health Act for assessment. I vaguely remember something about sounded like that. And so it's really, really awful, really, really horrible. You know, one of our viewers, Cheese, said the kids probably laughed at him. If I remember right, there was a question about whether the shooter had been bullied, and I don't believe the answer was, I don't believe the answer was yes, but I don't know if it was no, or if it was just like, we don't have evidence of the act, but we're looking into it. So, look, they're still investigating this. They're still looking for a motive in this. And I would encourage you, if you want to know what exactly was said in the press conference, you can rewind and watch it, because we just showed the whole thing. Yeah, Sound Mixer says killed his own mother before going to the school. I believe that was said in the press conference. Didn't they say the shootings at the house of the mother and the stepbrother, wasn't that before going to the school? I think that was said in the press conference. Again, sometimes I misremember these things. It's really horrible. For those who are just tuning in, we are focusing on the search for Nancy Guthrie and the manhunt today, but there was just a press conference on the terrible school shooting in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, Canada, which we just showed from the police, so we're talking about that for a bit. And some people were wondering about gun laws in Canada. I did want to mention that for a second. Hold on one second. Give me one moment. Is there no X live stream? Once again, it appears there's a problem with X live streaming because I did everything I normally do to go live to X, and it's not working. So I'll have to look into this after the stream. Fred says there's no X live stream because I'm doing everything I would normally do, and it says here that it is streaming. So I don't know if it seems like there's an issue with X live streaming. I have to look into this after the stream. I'm sorry, Fred. I was just assuming there was because I'm doing the same thing I always do. So I'm sorry, I have to look into it. Okay, I apologize, but I have to look into it after the stream. I don't know why this is happening. That's 2 days in a row that's happened with X. Hang on a moment here. No, I don't think we're actually... Let me see. Maybe we are live there. But I think maybe the link to YouTube is on X, but not the actual stream itself like it normally would be. I'm looking right now. No. There's a link to the stream on X, but it's not actually... Oh, hold on a second. Open live video. All right. I can tell what's wrong with X. We are live on X, but it's not showing on the timeline. So what you have to do on X is you need to click on where the logo, where it says Agenda Free TV at the top and there's a logo. You need to click on the logo. This looks like some sort of X issue because I just checked it. So normally it would appear on the timeline. What happens is, for those on X, if you click on, you'll see it in a second. If you click on where it says live here, you'll get the stream. But it's not showing up in the timeline for whatever reason. I don't know why. Normally you could just scroll down and see it. But it is there because I just got it on my phone. And I can see it right there on X right there. So it's not showing in the timeline. That's the issue. I have to message them about that. But it's there. Oh, Stevie Nicks says it's an X issue per several other streamers today. So I assume they'll fix that. But I'm glad we got that cleared up. Thank you to Stoned in the Wasteland. Stoned in the Wasteland says this was the action of an individual, not an entire population. Yeah, so, I mean, look, sadly we cover a lot of shootings, because there are a lot of shootings. And when these shootings happen, I try to give you information about the shooters that we know. That doesn't mean every piece of information about the shooters it explains why the shooting happened. So whether the person is male or female or a trans male or trans female or black or white or Jewish or Christian or Muslim or what they do for work, if there's information that's being released about the person that comes out, I try to give it to you. But there's nothing to say. None of that information implies that information explains the shooting. So, in the same way that if I said the shooter were white or black or Chinese or whatever, that doesn't explain in and of itself why the shooting happened. In the same way, you can say that the shooter was a trans female, which is what was said in the press conference today. That doesn't mean that's why the shooter did the shooting. Well, the motive is being investigated right now. So, there's a difference between information about a person and that information explaining why they did something. Yeah, and as our viewers are saying, there is a mental illness history that seems to be there that the police talked about. Now, again, I don't know enough about it to start drawing connections, and police are still investigating the motive. That could be an important factor too, of course. So, just trying to get out the information. Thanks, Stoned in the Wasteland. Thanks also, Ghost More Girls, Soka Deb, King Acorn, Fred Witherow. Thanks, Fred. Sorry about the weirdness on X with the stream. Crypto King, Neotrips. Yeah, Neotrips, again, as I mentioned earlier, James Vanderbeek passed away, former star of Dawson's Creek, 48 years old. He had been fighting cancer, but there's no official cause of death that I've seen yet, but TMZ said he was fighting stage 3 colorectal cancer in late 2024. So I'm not positive that could be the cause of death. I'm not sure. But condolences to the family. It's terrible. I do want to thank our mods, by the way. I really appreciate our mods being here. We have Ruth is moderating. Thank you, Ruth. She's over there on YouTube. On Twitch, we have moderating right now. Hang on a moment here. I Got That Fire, J. Joanne, Mark HNC, Matthew Kohai 3, and Sarah. Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha moderate for us on X. And thank you so much. And also Ava Knight, Kay Larry Body, Margaret Riley over there on Facebook. Thanks to Kristen McConnell Gates for the stars on Facebook. Also thanks to William Bowser for the stars on Facebook. Also thank you to, hang on a moment here, BT Larkin. BT Larkin, if you have questions for the moderators, they are happy to answer your questions. Not in the chat, but via email if you want to email them. Or whatever platform you're on, the mods can give you, if you ask them, contact, where you can write to them with questions about modding if you have it. Thank you, BT Larkin. Also, Stoned in the Wasteland, and also Pickled Witch, Denim Donuts, Angie9204, Poppy Shampoo, who says, let's hope they find Nancy Guthrie alive soon. Also, Janet B., our moderator, thanks for modding in the memberships, and Motivational Living, and Gary Baines. All right, so, I wanted to mention the gun laws there. Also, Anonymous Gifter on Twitch. Thank you. Here, I was looking this up on here. Why is this happening here? Hold on. Thanks. There was an article I wanted to mention. Hang on. Oh, I see. It's here. Here's where the article is. So here's something about gun laws. Some of our, again, we're going to get back to the Nancy Guthrie manhunt and search momentarily. We're just finishing up talking about the school shooting in Canada yesterday, and I just wanted to mention, you can see here this article from AP. Canada's strict gun laws include a ban on assault-style firearms and a freeze on handgun sales. AP says Canada's strict gun laws include a ban on assault-style firearms and a national freeze on the sale, purchase, and transfer of handguns. The Canadian government has banned more than 2,500 makes and models of assault-style firearms in recent years. Former Prime Minister Trudeau announced an immediate ban of more than 1,500 models on May 1st, 2020, after 2 weeks after a gunman killed 22 people in Nova Scotia. That ban included 2 weapons used by that gunman, as well as the AR-15 and other weapons that have been used in a number of mass shootings in the U.S. More than 1,200 guns were collected and destroyed as part of a compensation program for businesses that ran in 2024 and 2025. Those who do not participate must dispose of or permanently deactivate their prohibited guns before an amnesty period ends October 30th. The national freeze on the sale and purchase of handguns took effect in October 2022. It does not apply to those who already were authorized to carry handguns and those involved in shooting sports covered by the International Olympic Committee or International Paralympic Committee. There are also lifetime background checks, the article says. Implementing lifetime background checks. I assume they're already implemented from what the article says. And I believe, wasn't it a shotgun and a handgun that were said to be found in this shooting in Canada? There were 2 weapons found. I have to go back and look it up. A long gun and a modified handgun. Long gun and modified handgun. Devil Doc says long gun, so I'm assuming a rifle. Next Bike says long gun. All right. Let me just check a call. So again, I'm sorry. I don't want to. I want to get back to the Nancy Guthrie search and manhunt. I'll take a couple more comments on the Canada shooting, which is terrible. But if you missed it, you can go back and watch. We covered the whole police press conference. NM Denham says on the Oro Valley Police and Pima County Sheriff's scanner, they talked about getting whiffs of smell but can't locate it. Smell of what? We can check out the scanner in a little bit. Okay. Yeah, the shooter was identified. Again. Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. Brian Enton says law enforcement showed up to Annie Guthrie's house in an SUV. They went inside with gloves on. They came out with a paper bag and also checked the mailbox. That was just posted by Brian Enton. Also, KOLD's Mac Colson said several hours ago, a man who said he was a private investigator for the family showed up to Nancy Guthrie's house and spoke to the sheriff's deputy on site. He also dropped off what looks like some additional security signage. I will say, we have talked about this. We've talked about the possibility that the family could have hired or will hire some sort of private investigator or, hostage or ransom consultant or both. So maybe they have. Yes, again, one more time. Police said the name of the shooter in Canada was 18-year-old. They gave the name as Jesse Van Rutselaar. Some major outlets in Canada, news outlets, had identified him as Jesse Strong. And they said that he is a biological male who had been transitioning to a female. And they said she identified as a female, however you want to say it. Again, I'm a little confused about the Jesse Strong, Jesse Van Rutselaar thing. But we're going to leave that aside for now. So if you want to check out that press conference, you can go rewind and watch the whole thing. But certainly condolences for the families of all the people killed. Again, I think it was, if I have the details right, 5 students were killed between the ages of 12 and 13, plus a teacher or an educator, plus the shooter's mother and stepbrother were killed. And a number of people injured. It's horrible. Okay. Yes, the suspect, the shooter killed at home the shooter's mother and stepbrother. That's what was said in the press conference. Let's transition back over to the Nancy Guthrie manhunt and search. I want to talk about that. And just give me a moment here. Let me check a couple things. Hang on one moment. We should talk about the person released. So remember, last night, Pima County Sheriff's Department announced they had detained a person for questioning. Several hours later, that person was released. Police have not made a comment on the release. I don't believe police have even announced they were released. And the FBI and federal law enforcement never commented on either that I saw, the person getting detained or the person being released. It's all very strange. And then Pima County Sheriff's Department, they announced the person was being taken into custody. They never said anything about the person being released. And then 3 hours ago, they said there are no press briefings or interviews scheduled at this time. Should a significant development occur, a press conference will be called and media will be notified via email and our Pima Sheriff account. LL says, law enforcement radio silent on release. I haven't seen any statement about it. Yes, wrong person, Uwan Dude, in the sense of they didn't charge the person with anything, they just released them. See, Chelsea said I think he's been released, but is still under their watch. Well, I haven't heard anything more from the police about it. RJ says the person released was a door dasher who probably delivered to the address in question. Caught on camera, they decided to make him a suspect. Well, he was doing DoorDash last night in Rio Rico, which is about 50 miles south of where the shooting happened. But he said, in an interview I saw with him, he said he worked up in the Tucson area for a delivery company. He said he may have delivered a package to her house at some point. So I don't know. I don't know if that's what happened. But again, I can't tell you. I'd love to know from the police some more details about this, but they haven't said anything. Stickler for Change says the cops should say they made a mistake. Thank you to the Gribble, who says you were talking about arresting the wrong suspect the first time. That also happened with Charlie Kirk. So it definitely happened with the Brown University. Oh yes. Well, Charlie Kirk, I believe what happened is I'd have to go back and check. There were certainly people online claiming that an older man was taken into custody. Was he actually taken into custody and then they let him go? It definitely happened with the Brown University shooting. They took somebody into custody and then they let them go. Yeah, I remember this older man who people were talking about as a suspect in the Charlie Kirk thing and turned out to be not the suspect. I can't remember if he was taken into custody or not. I would have to just go back and check. Oh yeah, so some of our viewers like Nono and Chef and Kron were saying that the guy was claiming he did it himself. But did he say that he was claiming it because he was trying to let anybody else just get away or something, if I'm remembering right? I'll just see if I can find something about this real quick. George Zinn. It's George Zinn. That's who it was. Yeah, I'm just looking. I have this is from, I don't want to get too distracted on this, but this is from the Utah County Sheriff's Office. It said Zinn was attending the event where it was the Charlie Kirk shooting. Shortly after the shooting occurred, and while people were fleeing, Zinn was yelling that he had shot Charlie Kirk. Police took him into custody. and he was not cooperative. Blah blah blah. He admitted that he was the shooter to allow the actual shooter to flee and hinder law enforcement. Anyways, so that was not a case where, I mean, it's a bit different because they took him into custody, but he was saying he did it. So, whereas in the Brown University case, they took somebody into custody they thought they had. I don't believe that person said they thought they did it, was saying they did it. But they took somebody into custody and then they released them like the next day, I think it was. Thanks again to, I'm sorry, the Gribble one, thank you. Hang on a moment here. Thanks to UKNW Adapts, who says, in my opinion, the FBI seems very incompetent. This is showing other would-be kidnappers the FBI is falling off its game. Thank you also, Neotrips. I appreciate it, Neotrips, and Pickled Witch, and Strat Vonk. When will Trump attack Iran? Well, it's a little off topic, so we're not going to get into this right now, but if there's big developments, we'll certainly cover it. Thank you, Stratvonk. There was some reporting yesterday claiming that, did he say this? We might talk a little later about Trump and Netanyahu. Yeah, so the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the Pentagon is preparing a second aircraft carrier strike group to deploy to the Middle East. President Trump yesterday said he was considering sending a second aircraft carrier to the Middle East to prepare for military action if negotiations with Iran failed. So, sounds like there's still negotiations going on. And if they sent another carrier, it would certainly take a number of days to get there, I would assume. But one of the officials said to the Wall Street Journal the Pentagon was readying a carrier to deploy in 2 weeks. Anyways, so who knows? But President Trump can decide to do what he wants when he wants. We'll be keeping an eye on that. All right, hang on a moment here. Yes, and we did mention before, TMZ said they got a note from somebody who wanted a Bitcoin. They said it was Harvey Levin described the note as kind of bizarre. A note from somebody who wanted Bitcoin to give them information about the kidnapper. Yes, TMZ reported it received a message today from somebody claiming to know the kidnapper's identity and saying they unsuccessfully tried to reach Savannah Guthrie's brother and sister. The person asked for a Bitcoin in exchange for the information. And Harvey Levin described the note as kind of bizarre. Oh, I'll show you something else about the person who was released. Hold on a second. Sorry, that should be off. Marky B. Yass says these Bitcoin ransom claims are usually scams. Roger Davis Jr., our viewer, says this should have been resolved by now. New England Calty thinks they have no idea, end of story. Mike thinks that the note today says it's a scam, just an opportunist. I wonder if we'll get a new post from Savannah Guthrie today. I got to keep an eye on that as well. I mean, guys, we're now 10 days after she went missing. More than 10. Well, she went missing between the 31st and the 1st, and now it's the 11th. I have not heard any updates about more money going into the ransom Bitcoin account. Multiple outlets who know what that account is because they have the ransom note. Multiple outlets said yesterday that money for the first time went into the Bitcoin account for the ransom. KGUN said it was less than $300 worth of Bitcoin. Well, they reported activity, but I believe the idea is that it would be money going in there. You can see this. The man detained last night was released after questioning, leaving it unclear today where the investigation stood. FBI agents fanned out across a neighborhood about a mile from Nancy's home today, Wednesday morning, knocking on doors and searching through the dense desert terrain filled with cactus, bushes, and boulders. Several hundred detectives and agents are now assigned to the investigation. Authorities had said they stopped a man near the U.S.-Mexico border yesterday, just hours after the FBI released videos and photos of a person wearing a gun holster, ski mask, and approaching Nancy Guthrie's home in Tucson. The man told media outlets early this morning that he was released after several hours and had nothing to do with Guthrie's disappearance last week. Authorities have not said what led them to stop the man yesterday, but confirmed he was released. We have no idea. There hasn't been a press conference in, I think, 6 days. I don't know what kind of leads law enforcement has right now. Shanti thinks maybe Nancy did not survive the night of the abduction. We don't know. I mean, I hope she did, but we just don't know. Express Investing says, so they know nothing then? This is a picture from today, by the way. These are pictures from today. Law enforcement check vegetation areas around Nancy Guthrie's home. Some pictures from today from AP. We saw them doing stuff like this yesterday in the neighborhood of Annie Guthrie's house. We might show these. We showed them so much yesterday, but there's a couple of screen grabs of which I'm sure many of you have seen, of the videos and photos of the suspect taken by the doorbell cam. What about the camera from the roof, says Sarcasm BTC. We don't know if police have recovered any images from other cameras at the house. It's a good question. Maybe they have video of her being taken away that they haven't released. We don't know. Thanks to Teresa E116, our member. Oh, I was going to check somebody. Yeah, somebody had mentioned the scanner. There are not that many people listening to the scanner. I'll turn it on for a minute, but there aren't many people listening to the scanner. I can check for a couple minutes the Oro Valley Police and Pima County Sheriff's scanner. We didn't really hear anything yesterday on the scanner. Hold on. From Broadcastify.
We can cancel them. We'll advise when we get on scene.
From Broadcastify.com. So I'll probably end up leaving it on for 2 minutes and then making it quiet again. Because I have not been hearing anything during this whole story basically on the scanner. Tracy Ann says, this is crazy. It seems staged.
1024, 106, ma'am.
Oh, you know what, guys? You know, President Trump is supposed to participate in a Champion of Coal event.
Engine 7, fire.
In about 20 minutes. So maybe he'll talk about this. I don't know. We can put it on and see if he says anything about it.
Fire, 842 on scene.
Check my 842. Engine 7, fire alarm.
Let me check something here. I want to check for some other updates too.
Kilo 104, I'm 23 at the supplement. Check Walker.
I want to show you something else too. Give me a moment here. Give me one moment.
Engine 7 copy. We also canceled that acceptance app. 43 will be tested for code 125. 30%.
There's an article from AP about the Arizona sheriff.
Public assist, 12,290. North Lost Shadow Court.
I think we should turn off the scanner. What do you guys think about the scanner? I think it's just going to be distracting. We'll see what the chat thinks, but
Engine 19 and Medic 19.
we could leave it on for a bit. We could leave it on low. Most people are saying off. A few are saying on, but most want it off. If I hear that they're talking about anything, I will certainly put it back on. We can always put it on. People are saying off. You can see here AP says Arizona sheriff finds himself under a microscope with the Nancy Guthrie case in its second week. They haven't had a press conference in 6 days. In 6 days, are they going to do another press conference or not? Judy Webster says the only explanation regarding no news or press releases is that the family has gone with a private security company. This is just some background on him. I don't want to go through all this now. One of our viewers thinks no press conferences mean no headway made. I was wondering about this. You know, last night when the president was taken into custody last night, the FBI never commented on it. I don't believe. They never said anything about it. So was the FBI working with Pima County sheriffs on that? What did the FBI think about them taking the person into custody? They certainly didn't try to take credit for it. So I guess my question is, was there some sort of disagreement between the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff about whether to take this person into custody? Was the FBI like, I don't know, and Pima's like, no, we think this is the guy? I don't know. Well, I heard Kash Patel on Hannity last night, but that was before it was announced somebody had been taken into custody. Jessica thinks it was a hired job. So I don't know if there's any kind of tension or disagreement between the federal and local law enforcement. No Pair, No Draw says maybe that detainment was just a facade to make the public think they were making headway. So one of our viewers said, was saying this yesterday, one of our viewers said, Miss MMC says, or Mr. Mick says, I wonder why they didn't do a press conference yesterday to put the videos out and really get them out there. Yeah, I said this yesterday. I said, why not do a press conference just to show the videos and photos? And you'll get, maybe you get more people to see them. Jay Deborah says, poor guy, he had the facial hair and features that fit the profile. Jackson thinks the case has been handled badly by police. LL says, sloppy case. Also, I mean, we're getting the length of time now. It's really disturbing how long she's been missing for, like 10 days. So hopefully she's alive. I mean, of course she might not be, but hopefully she is. But if she is, have they been taking care of her for 10 days? Wall Street says, I hope they are, but I doubt. Justice N says, without medication. I mean, it's possible they were able to get other medication. There was more activity on Bitcoin? I haven't seen that. Let me check, though. Let me check. Hang on a moment here. We got to keep checking. Things can change just like that with this. You don't know what's going to happen with this case. And things changed a lot yesterday. I think a lot of people thought yesterday was it. With the videos and the person taken into custody, and then the person was just released. Let me check some things here. TMZ says that authorities are tracking the kidnapper's gear and gun, which you could see in the video yesterday. TMZ claims that the backpack is very similar to one sold by Walmart. Nathaniel says, I have watched a lot of Dateline, and for some reason I do not think this ends well. They may never find her if it was cartels. I'm checking Fox News' reports today. I don't see anything real super big. Prince of Judah says, I still think it was someone they knew behind this. No Pair, No Draw says, did they get anything from the backpack? It looks fairly distinct. Sober Pal Grunt says, I thought yesterday we had the suspect. At least I was wrong. But I still have faith for her safe return because God is great. Brandon Cross says, I was hoping yesterday was final. Soccer fan Machado says, this has to be a ransom or retaliation. I don't think it's a random kidnapping. Cherry Cope Cola says, if this operation is a rookie, she is likely dead. If it's a professional, they have the means to keep her alive. Fox News posted a video of two men at Annie Guthrie's home with a bag. One man wearing blue gloves took mail from the mailbox. It's unclear why the men were at the home. I posted the link in the chat. Oh, President Trump is supposed to speak in like 12 minutes, so we might watch that. Let me show you this little video here that Reuters put out. You can see it says here, investigators release video of masked man in Nancy Guthrie abduction, which I'm sure most of you have probably seen this. But just out of interest, let me just let me just show you the video real quick. Is it this one? Hold on. Here, look. Just to watch it again, guys. That's via the FBI. A masked person appears to tamper with the doorbell camera. What they did is they actually spliced the videos together in this little video. Angie Gunning says, what's the possibility of it being a woman? And the gun holster was placed there to conceal a no package? Well, the FBI thinks it's a man. That's what they, seem to have facial hair too. By the way, thanks so much to Golden Kitty for the memberships. That's really nice of you. Matthew Felty said Providence had a presser Monday responding to Brown shooting open records request. I have to go look at that, Matthew. I saw that maybe they released some body cam footage or something. Thank you, Matthew Felty, for mentioning that. I'll have to look into that. I appreciate it, Matthew. Also, hold on a moment here. Yes, U.S. Rights and Freedom says, I pray this masked devil is caught soon. Thank you, Fishing a Lot. Shrenko says, I feel it's strange that we haven't heard more about all the blood at the front door. Stephanie Maynard says, any news on the mask that was supposedly found? I haven't heard about a mask. Shauna Lee Huff says, he seems unprepared, gets grass to cover the camera. J. David Angelo thinks this will end up as an unsolved case, most likely. Joe AMNS thinks she is not alive. Let me just go to the FBI page here. Oh, the FBI, this is nice. The FBI actually has put the videos on their page. The FBI has a whole page now with the videos all there. Well, that's helpful. Look at this. And they got the photos. I'll post a link to this in the chat. They got the whole page set up. How big can you make the photos, though? Let's see. They don't have the one of here with her without the backpack. That was yesterday. It says unknown individual. So you can go to their page. You can watch these as many times as you want. There's this one here. We've seen this many times, many of you. Just to do it, though. Oops. It doesn't automatically replay, though. Well, anyways, there's that page. Then there's the one people asked about the photo where he's not wearing the backpack. We can show that. Kara thinks Bitcoin is 100% traceable. I was doing some amateur research on this, and I was looking up, like, there's things people can try to do to make it untraceable, but there's also law enforcement ways to still be able to trace it. I guess I was reading about this thing people sometimes use, which is like if you have Bitcoin in an account, there's something you can use that'll mix it with other people's Bitcoin and then put it into a new account for you, which will make it harder to trace. I don't know. I've never used one of these things. But from my reading, I got the sense that there's certainly great challenges, especially with a large amount of Bitcoin, to be able to keep law enforcement from being able to track it. Mikey says it's called a blender. Yeah, here's the picture, guys. Here's the picture with no. Here's the picture of the person with no. If I can put it on the screen here, with no backpack. Is there video of him walking around no backpack or gun? We don't know, Shivan. We don't know what other video or photos they might have. It's a good question. Was this before or after the other video? I don't know. Gerald says if he was smart, he would have used Monero. Is that like a cryptocurrency that's harder to track? Greg Zavertnik thinks Bitcoin is based on blockchain and lineage is maintained from the initial Bitcoin created all through splitting and joining. A Bitcoin can be traced all the way back to the initial creation. Duchess says, could he be shouting this place out? 2020 says Monero is way harder to trace. Mammy says Monero is a privacy coin that or Zcash would be smarter. Work Hard says Monero is much harder to track. You know what? I need about 15 seconds because my water glass is empty. Just give me about 15 seconds. Hang on. I'll leave the picture up for 15 seconds so you can look at it while I get more water. Hang on one second. Simp Nasty says spooky pick. Give me a moment here. President Trump is supposed to make an appearance in a couple minutes. Maybe, I don't know that he'll talk about this case. You never know. We can try checking it out in a couple minutes and he would see what he has to say. I just feel like something else will happen soon in this case, but who knows? Oh, hold on a second here. Hold on a moment. Hold on. Okay, hey guys. So there was an update about, we haven't talked about this. So Natasha Bertrand of CNN, I believe this might have been reported elsewhere too. So, last night, early this morning, all of a sudden there was an announcement that El Paso Airport was closed for 10 days by the FAA for some sort of security reason. There was like no advance notice. And, people in El Paso, people involved with the airport and the city were like, what is going on? They just closed our airport for 10 days? And then by some hours later today, Sean Duffy, Secretary of Transportation, he announced that they had reopened it, and he claimed that it was that they had shut the airport for 10 days because he said that it was done to address a cartel drone incursion. Now, I've seen reporting, first of all, that says cartel drone incursions happen fairly regularly. And also, he said the threat was neutralized. Also, the idea that they would close a city airport with no notice for 10 days for a cartel drone incursion for 10 days. So anyways, I don't know if that was the reason. But there's been some other reporting on it. For example, Natasha Bertrand of CNN reports that the Pentagon, she said the Pentagon planned to use a high-energy counter-drone laser without properly coordinating it with the FAA first about potential risks to civilian flights. The Pentagon, says Natasha Bertrand, has been testing this technology for a while. And the Pentagon sought to deploy this laser system around El Paso before they had coordinated with the FAA. And she reported that the U.S. military used this week this laser anti-drone technology, and they used it to shoot down 4 Mylar balloons. And that contributed to the decision by the FAA to shut down local airspace until the proper coordination with the Pentagon could take place. Now, I don't know. In her report, it doesn't say party balloons. It says they shot down 4 Mylar balloons with this laser technology. Jennifer Jacobs with CBS News had reported today that that earlier this week, this this high energy anti-drone laser was used to shoot down what appeared to be foreign drones, but the material shot down turned out to be a party balloon. That's according to CBS News' Jennifer Jacobs. They reported that 1 balloon was shot down. And then Fox News reported, Liz Frieden of Fox News said a U.S. official confirms to Fox News that earlier this week, the U.S. military shot down a party balloon near El Paso, thinking it was a foreign drone. And again, it's being reported that they've been testing this high-energy laser anti-drone weapon. So, all of a sudden, early this morning, this FAA closure of El Paso Airport for 10 days came out. And eventually, several hours later, it was lifted. But it's a whole confusing situation. I do want to show you something about that. I'm keeping an eye on the Nancy Guthrie thing as well, but I wanted to mention this. Take some of your comments about that. By the way, Ford Hatchett with ABC 15 says that he says they've seen a lot of neighbors dropping off flowers at Nancy Guthrie's house, and he posted a video of a flower delivery service dropping off flowers at her house. Hold on a moment. I want to mention something about this. Give me a moment here. Hang on. I did say we were going to take a little time here. So this is an article from the Washington Post. It says, Trump officials cite cartel drones in El Paso ground stop. The Trump administration said today that Mexican cartel drones breached U.S. airspace and that the U.S. military took action to disable them after an extraordinary 10-day flight restriction was placed on airspace near El Paso overnight and then lifted hours later. The administration said in a statement that the Defense Department and FAA had determined there is no threat to commercial aviation after lifting the restrictions, which surprised many U.S. officials involved in border security issues. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said on social media that the threat had been neutralized, but neither he nor other administration officials disclosed more details about what happened or why such dramatic actions were needed. Drone incursions from Mexico are not new and have not been handled in such a manner in the past. All right, so that's a little background there. And then, but I wanted to mention the thing about the laser stuff. Oh, is Trump speaking? Hold on a second here. Trump's supposed to be speaking soon. I got to keep an eye on that. But where's the laser thing? Hold on. Do I have an article that talks about that? Here, look. Right here. We'll take some of your comments too. Pentagon FAA dispute over lasers to thwart cartel drones led to airspace closure, AP sources say. The sudden and surprising airspace closure over El Paso, Texas today stemmed from the Pentagon's plans to test a laser for use in shooting down drones used by Mexican drug cartels, according to 3 people familiar with the situation. That caused friction with the FAA, which wanted to ensure commercial air safety, and the 2 agencies sought to coordinate. Despite a meeting scheduled later this month to discuss the issue, the Pentagon wanted to go ahead and test the laser, prompting the FAA to shut down the airspace. Now, they say it was not clear whether the laser was ultimately deployed. Some other outlets, as I said, say the laser either intentionally or accidentally shot down a balloon or balloons. Our viewer, FTBT, says, I'm pretty sure cartel drones come across the border every day, honestly. Vegas Gem says, I do not trust our current government. K-Dog thinks they send balloons first to test if countermeasures are present before they send a drone. S.I. Jalen says, I flew in and out of El Paso Airport. So this was a whole, I don't even know if anybody's awake. I was posting about this last night after I got off the air before I went to bed, which was very late/early. But it was just crazy to see they all of a sudden announced they had shut down El Paso Airport for 10 days with no notice. Our viewer, Mr., thinks Mylar balloons are highly visible on radar and able to be used as decoys. Relila thinks it was reckless, especially not to coordinate. Medical helicopters were grounded. That's what Relila said. Hold on a moment here. Yes, by the way, CBS News said earlier this week the anti-drone laser technology was launched near the southern border to shoot down what appeared to be foreign drones. The flying material turned out to be a party balloon, sources said. Did that really happen? Did the Pentagon really shoot down a party balloon with a laser? I don't know. Anyways, I don't want to get too sidetracked on that, but I wanted to mention it. And to repeat, CNN's Natasha Bertrand said, oh, Zach Cohen says 4 party balloons. Zach Cohen of CNN says the balloons that were shot down were 4 party balloons. They shoot down 4 party balloons? I don't know. That's what CNN seems to be reporting. The New York Times says that military officials deployed this laser technology earlier this week against what they thought was a cartel drone, but turned out to be a party balloon. Steel Wool Circle Pants says it was always party balloon. So I don't know for sure. Now, FTAT says the fact that they shot down a drone, they thought they shot down a drone, and it turns out to be party balloons just shows lack of intelligence. Well, if that happens, I'm not positive. I'm just passing on these reports. Death Adder says all that money wasted on party balloons. All right, hang on a moment here, guys. Oh, President Trump is about to speak. Maybe we'll check in on what he's saying. I'm not necessarily going to stay on this for a while, guys. Maybe we can check out what President Trump has to say. Hold on a moment. Hang on. Whoa, they're playing music there. My guess is he's not going to talk about Nancy Guthrie, but maybe we'll watch the start of what he says. I'm almost certain this is at the White House, by the way, but I got to just confirm. Hang on a moment. The event is about coal. One moment here. I should have the schedule here or something. Here it is. Is this it? For Wednesday. Yes, this isn't at the White House. It's a Champion of Coal event. We may end up only showing a little bit of this. In the meantime, I'll be checking for more updates about the manhunt. Oh, CNN reports that the man detained last night was on investigators' radar before release of the images. CNN reports that the man detained last night and then released was a lead that was being worked on prior to the release of the videos and photos. I didn't see them release a statement publicly, but CNN says they got a statement from the Pima County Sheriff's Department that they detained a man for questioning. He was released. They're not identifying him because he was not charged. Anyways. Our viewer Nocturnal Emissions says, no real news updates today. The Guthrie family has been silent and out of sight. The Keystone cops have not made a statement. Media circus running rampant. Yeah, I mean, this feels so far today with the Guthrie case. I mean, this might be the least amount of updates really since it began. Very little right now. Obviously, no press conference. Where is the press conference, says Michaela? No press conference. I haven't heard any statements from the Guthrie family today. Nothing more about the Bitcoin wallet. Nothing more about any suspects or evidence released or anything. There was some law enforcement walking around doing some searching in some brush areas today, which they were doing yesterday, and I think maybe the day before. That's not really new. Thanks, by the way, to Sevenfold for your support. I appreciate it. Also, the Flamingos Armin, our new member. The Gabby doll, who thinks it wasn't random, it was personal. Also, I want to shout out our moderators who have been here during the broadcast. Thanks, Naomi Russo, for your support on Twitch. Thanks over there on Twitch to Big Ball of Yarn. I got that fired. J. Jointed, Matthew Kohai 3, Sarah for moderating. And Ruth over there on YouTube. Thank you. By the way, if you missed it before, we did cover live the police update today about the terrible school shooting yesterday in Canada. If you missed it, you can rewind and watch that. Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha moderate for us on X. Thanks to our Facebook moderators. Hang on a moment. I want to thank a couple people here. Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Paul Anderson. Thanks, Christy Claft, for subscribing over on Facebook. I really appreciate that. Barry Eisler, thank you for subscribing. Tina Niazi is modding. Thank you. And also want to thank Shirley Schultz. Thanks, Shirley, for the Facebook stars. And Darlene Kerrick, thank you for the Facebook stars. Maxie Puig and Makia Lyles Barr, thank you for the Facebook stars. Also, quick shout out to our Twitch subscribers like Naomi Russo, Wall Street Shaggy, Big Ball of Yarn, Amalian, Atomic Farting, Static X, Matthew Kohai 3, Jessica Davis, Timbit Power. Thank you for subscribing, and Sharkingly, and all of our other subscribers over on Twitch. Yeah, just very little in terms of updating going on today. So you're hoping to hear some good news at some point. We're going to see the start of what President Trump has to say. And again, I'm not even seeing like big reports from news outlets today. Abigail, our viewer, thinks this is close to becoming a cold case. I mean, is this going to be something where it kind of just, there's not a lot of new news and it kind of fades from the headlines, and then a week from now, it's still really nothing is different? Oh My Head on X says, it seems as though they don't want the public to know that much information about the investigation. Yeah, the new letter to TMZ I don't feel is like that big a deal. It seemed like it was. Harvey Levin described it as kind of bizarre. It asked them for a Bitcoin. It asked for a Bitcoin to give information about the kidnapper. Yeah, the TMZ got the note, they said, just before 5 a.m. Pacific time. The sender claimed they had unsuccessfully tried to reach Savannah Guthrie's brother and sister by email and text. The TMZ said the note said, if they want the name of the individual involved, then I want 1 Bitcoin to the following wallet. Time is more than relevant. And they did give a Bitcoin address which was different than the original Bitcoin address in the ransom note. H. Farmer says, I wonder if they take those letters seriously, the family. I don't know about this one. We still don't know why there was some activity in the Bitcoin wallet yesterday, albeit supposedly less than $300 worth. The ransom note Bitcoin account. Karen Morse says, many people desperate for money, probably fraud. Express Investing says, thank you, says, so mountain lion theory out of the question now? Well, I mean, there is that video and photos that came out yesterday of the person who that night she went missing at her door, you know, trying to cover the camera. So presumably that person is responsible. That's what the FBI thinks. Big Fan Boston says, in the Brown University case, a guy was detained in a hotel. Yeah, in Rhode Island. I think I remember that. I think he was only held for 8 hours, says Big Fan Boston. But that was announced by Kash Patel, that one. And then they had to release. Then they did a press conference where he was released. They announced he was released. I'm checking some of the other comments here people have been sending me. Wendy B said JLR played a 911 call about the ski mask being found by someone's house in the neighborhood. So I don't know if that's, I mean, there might be such a call. I haven't heard about this. I haven't heard this reported anywhere. Somebody could have found a mask and told police they think it's the ski mask, but it might not have been. So I don't know that something like that was on the scanner, but there's all kinds of reasons it could end up on the scanner besides that it really happened. So I'm gonna wait on concluding that somebody has the ski mask, that it's somehow that the neighbor that somebody left it somewhere, that the person doing it left it somewhere or lost it, until I get a little more confirmation. I haven't seen any reports that police have the ski mask. I don't know if it's false, but again, somebody might find a mask and assume it's the right mask and call law enforcement and ends up on the scanner. So I don't know anything about that. Thanks for mentioning it. Karen Moore says, I saw an interview that Brian Enton did with a retired FBI agent. He said he never worked a kidnapping with less than 3 people committing it. I mean, another question is just, so as Karen mentions, questions about other people involved. Also, like, assuming that guy is responsible for Nancy Guthrie not being there anymore, how did he get her out? Did he carry her out? Did he have a car there? Was somebody else waiting to help him? Isabella Griffith said she was watching JLR and a scanner he had on said there was a woman who found a ski mask that looked like the one used in the Nancy Guthrie case. So certainly that may have been on the scanner. But at the same time, just because somebody calls in and says that doesn't mean they've actually found the actual ski mask. Sometimes when there's a manhunt going on, we listen to the scanner, and there's all these people calling in saying they've seen somebody who looks just like the suspect, and it turns out to be false. So thanks for letting me know. I just have this on the background because President Trump's going to speak, and I don't think he'll talk about this case, but you never know. He might say something about it at the start, so I figured we'd watch the start of it at least. But it's really been quiet in terms of updates. So Matt Finn from Fox News has a similar report to CNN. Matt Finn says that the FBI tells him that the man who was taken in for questioning last night was not pinpointed solely off of the new surveillance footage, rather other ongoing investigations. No, there was no press conference on the detained person. No public statement posted about the detained person being released. And they said they're not having a press conference and no press conference is scheduled. That is what the county sheriff said today. No press conference is scheduled. We're just waiting for President Trump to speak to see if he says anything about this case. He's coming in right now, I guess. We're just going to watch the start of this appearance. I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but I just wanted to see if he was going to say anything about it. I guess he might be coming in. I don't plan on showing this whole event. It's about coal. But you never know. We'll play it for a minute and see what he has to say.
Clean, beautiful coal. Clean, beautiful coal. We love clean, beautiful coal, don't we, Doug? Huh? I'm thrilled to welcome to the White House the men and women who light our cities. And, you do things that people don't even understand. There's so much. You do so much. You heat our homes, fuel our factories, and turn natural resources into American riches and dreams. Our amazing coal miners. Thank you very much, fellas. That's great. And I know you well. I know you well. I think I get about 97% of your vote. And you wouldn't want to do anything else. You wouldn't switch with a guy who had a beautiful penthouse apartment on Fifth Avenue. You wouldn't switch with that was me. I had a nice, easy life. And now I decided to do this. But you know what? We just hit the highest price in the history of the stock market, $50,000. And a lot of people are getting rich with your 401ks and everything else. So our country's back. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world, so it's pretty cool, right? So I want to just tell you, I really appreciate you being here. You're special people. You got mistreated very badly for a long period of time. But you've never had a better friend in the Oval Office than me, and I'm proud to officially name the undisputed, when did this come out, Mr. Speaker? The undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal. We have to proceed. Always, I don't use the word coal. You know, it needs a PR job because it had a bad reputation for a while. So we're not allowed to say the word coal anymore. It has to be preceded by beautiful, clean coal, okay? We're cleaning it up. Very good. And we're delighted to be joined by Secretary Doug Burgum, who's done a fantastic job from the great coal mining state of North Dakota. And thanks as well to Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, a fantastic guy who's doing a great job. Thank you, Mike. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. He's our secret weapon. He's getting those approvals done in record-setting time. True. Great Senators John Barrasso and Jim Justice. Thank you very much for being here. Hi, Jim. Been a long time, Jim. You're looking good. Shelley Moore Capito. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you very much, darling. Marsha Blackburn, Bill Haggerty, Ted Budd, John Husted, Bernie Marino, and David McCormick, all here, great senators, every one of them, great senators, representatives of the House, Jim Baird, Troy Balderson, Andy Barr, Dave Taylor, Warren Davidson, Troy Downing, Morgan Griffith, Brett Guthrie, Harriet Hageman, Mike Kelly, Dan Muser, Scott Perry, Carol Miller, Dana Harshberger, and Riley Moore. Boy, that's a good group of people. We have some others in here, too, and I'm not going to say it's just too many. Don't get angry at me. I'll never get their vote again. It's very dangerous. I also want to thank the president of the Washington Coal Club, Michael Day, CEO of the National Mining Association, Richard Nolan, along with many of the greatest business leaders in this powerful industry and a great industry it is. But of course, the most important people here today are those who get their hands a little bit dirty to keep America running at full speed, our frontline coal workers, and I'm pleased to report that in the first year of my presidency, real wages for the typical miner increased by more than $2,200. I'd say that's pretty good, right? And I'll give you the bad news. It's the first time that that's happened in more than 27 years, all right? Those other presidents didn't take good care of you. They didn't take good care of you at all. They didn't realize what they had. The last time many of us were together, I signed a historic executive order to ensure that America's beautiful clean coal plants would keep running when we need it most, and that's 24 hours a day in rain, sleet, and snow. You know, coal can operate when other substances can't. The Biden administration, he had no clue what he was doing. Shut down dozens of coal plants. They shut them down. Literally, it seemed like one a week, one a day. They were shutting them down left and right as fast as you could. They were paying people to shut down a coal plant. And if we had stayed on the ruinous path, we would have seen mass suffering and rolling blackouts all over the country. We would have had blackouts right now all over the country. We would have had a country that, worse than blackouts, every other thing would have been wrong with it, too, with all of the horrible things that took place at our border. And right now our border is 100% secure. First time in the history of our country, actually. And you see it all the time. So instead, when large parts of our country were hit with winter storms, it was coal that kept the power on, and it was coal that never was bothered by cold weather, warm weather. It's never bothered by anything. It just keeps on chugging, right? During this vicious storm, and they had some really bad ones, coal generation surged 31%, while solar and wind totally collapsed. I'm not a big fan of those crazy windmills that are all made in China. You know, they're made in China but not used by China. Let's look for a couple of wind farms in China.
So
see if
I
we
was,
can find one. They sell us those.
So I was basically just turning into this. Hold on. I was basically tuning into this to see if he might say something about the Guthrie case. I don't think he's going to. You never know, but my best guess is it sounds like he's pretty much just talking about coal. It's a coal event. So I wanted to see that. You can go to the White House. So I'm guessing the White House is showing that on their social media. But you never know. So, but anyways, I said we don't have to watch the whole thing because it's so off topic. While he was speaking, I was also checking a bunch of different outlets, and I am seeing basically like nothing new anywhere. Again, this is like, to me, it seems like maybe the day with the least big developments, maybe since like this all started. You know, and I do, you know, but it's weird because just yesterday we had those photos and videos released. But I've been just checking some different outlets, and ZK4 says very quiet. Hold on a second. Some people said New York Post is reporting something. New York Post is reporting something? Oh, the New York Post says investigators find a black glove. So, this is what they're saying, just to be clear. Investigators have recovered a black glove from a roadside near Nancy Guthrie's house that resembles the pair worn by the armed perpetrator. So, I would be careful here. It doesn't say that they have found definitely a glove worn by the perpetrator. It says, and now we know investigators have been going by the sides of roads today. The FBI said they were going to, and they apparently found a black glove. Look, it'd be great for the investigation if this is the glove. I wouldn't be surprised, given that investigators have been walking around roadsides today, that they find random stuff there. So I would be careful about, you know, drawing too many conclusions. I remind you guys, I will draw your attention to what the FBI said today. This morning, numerous FBI agents are conducting an extensive search along multiple roadways in the Catalina foothills area. So, I would assume if it's like other roadways, you might see random garbage and items of clothing. Now, maybe, who knows? Maybe they found one of the gloves worn by the person in the video. But I don't know. So it would be a big story if they found one of the gloves. Yes, as PD Clump says, you saw a glove. We don't know if it is the glove. I mean, it's a little odd to think, so did the kidnapper toss one of his gloves or have one glove fall out on the road? I don't know. Some of our viewers are saying, does the glove fit? We don't know. Oh, yeah, I mean, certainly, you know, Zinkman says DNA. There could be, if it's the actual glove, that could be very helpful. Lidwine Elizabeth, thank you. Lidwine Elizabeth says, it would be good for the search, but let's be honest, it would be incredibly stupid if he lost his glove on the side of the road. Thanks, Pamela SK, by the way, and Georgie Boy Dorian. Kikoshi says, why would he be that stupid? I mean, you never know. Betsy's tag says, why was she abducted and who would have most to gain? Sign of the Times says the video does not exactly depict a professional. Yeah, again, you know, the Post says that it's potentially a major clue. Well, yeah, it's a potentially major clue, but that's if it's major if it's the actual glove. I'll post a link in the chat to the New York Post article. You can see they have a picture of a black glove from a roadside, one glove from a roadside 1.5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house. Why would one glove, not the other, be there? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the person tossed out his glove. I don't know. Dr. Vinegar says, seems like it's clutching at straws. Wes Reviews thinks the glove is unrelated. Our viewer Brian thinks they'll find a shoe, a plastic bottle, and a dead animal as well. Neotrips, thanks Neotrips. Neotrips says, we are talking about someone who tried to plant flowers on a Ring camera. He can't be the brightest crayon in the box. Hang on a moment here. Well, what we'll do is, my plan is to go a little while longer on this stream and see if we hear anything. If we don't in a few minutes, maybe I'll take a break. Obviously, if there's big developments, I can come right back on the air. But I'm not going to do a, hour after hour stream when we're not getting any big updates. But I'll certainly be keeping an eye on things. We'll give it a few minutes and we'll take some more comments. But no press conference. I mean, who knows what law enforcement knows? Just to remind you what was said today by Pima County, here it is. There are no press briefings or interviews scheduled at this time. Should a significant development occur, I thought last night was a significant development, but I guess it wasn't. A press conference will be called and media will be notified via email and our Pima Sheriff account. They posted similar messages a couple days ago. They Call Me Taj says, I assume they know a lot and don't want us to know. Yeah, we showed the police update about the Canada shooting, school shooting from yesterday earlier, if you wanted to see that coverage. Thanks to Express Investing, who's wondering if there was any blood on the glove that was found. That I don't know. Mickey Eliles Barr thinks they really have nothing for us today on the Nancy case. Now, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. There could be a lot happening behind the scenes, right? By the way, thanks. Shout out to our YouTube members like Sevenfold, Sign of the Times, Evelyn in Maine, Cogito, Daisy Clementine Love. Just thanking some of our members here. Sparky Pilot on YouTube, River West, the one and only Jan Porter, Evelyn in Maine, Olin McKinney, CAC 813, Scott B., Arturo Chacon, Treasure Please, Michael Donahue, Gary Baines, Dr. Heaton, Express Investing, and all of our other YouTube members. Yeah, Beautiful Messy Ball mentioned this. I mentioned this earlier, that Fox had said that 2 individuals went to Annie Guthrie's home. One was seen wearing blue gloves, took mail from the mailbox. It's unclear why they were at the home. I mean, they could be hired by the family or something. I'm not sure. Oh, by the way, I just saw this I wanted to mention. We talked about that El Paso story, how suddenly early this morning the FAA announced they were closing El Paso Airport for 10 days. Then hours later they said it was open again. And the claim from the FAA was that it was due to some sort of cartel drone threat or drone incursion. Martin Heinrich, who's a senator from New Mexico, said, what I can say definitively, 5 minutes ago, what I can say definitively about the El Paso airport closure is that there was not a threat to the El Paso airport or its airspace, and there was no legitimate reason to shut it down. Now we need answers about why airspace in New Mexico still remains closed. Earlier today, Senator Heinrich said, this was an unforced and unnecessary fire drill. As I mentioned earlier, there's some reporting saying that this was what really the closure was due to, was that the Pentagon had been testing, wanted to start testing or using a laser weapon against drones. And a couple outlets claimed that they had been testing it recently and shot down. Well, CBS News said they used it recently to try to shoot down a drone, and they instead shot down a party balloon. Anyways, but multiple outlets say that the real issue here was that the Pentagon wanted to use this anti-drone laser in the area, and that they had not coordinated it with the FAA. But I can't confirm that. We talked about that a bunch earlier. I don't want to go all the way back there. But you can watch our coverage earlier about it. Hey, thanks to Patissimo, who says if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. Patrick Paul says, the real question about Nancy is when they took her, did she have the supply of medicine needed to stay alive this long? Or could they have gotten it for her? Willow Bark says that doesn't explain the 10-day closure. Yeah, I mean, there's this whole other question of why did they announce all of a sudden with no notice in advance a 10-day closure. All right. Darb7up says, does anyone really think she's still alive or been alive past the first day of missing? Some of our viewers think she's no longer alive. We can hope she is. I certainly hope she is. No idea. I mean, it's been 10 days now. Nothing new from the Savannah Guthrie Instagram account. I've been checking that. No new posts. Remember that the ransom deadline was for Monday. The deadline that reportedly said if you don't pay by, it reportedly threatened Nancy's life. That was Monday. Saturday, the family said, we will pay. Thank you, the Jeremy Social, who is complaining that more coverage is given, should be given to to child trafficking pedo scandals and not this. Thank you, the Jeremy Social. Cece thinks if she is alive, if alive, she's a nurse or med type person is also involved. Mrs. J. Matt says, I hope she's still alive, but I'm not optimistic. Either way, it's a long time. Again, if she's alive, that presumably means that they've been taking care of her for 10 days. You never know. Let's hope. A number of you have said that you thought that she didn't survive the first day. Was the ransom paid, Pigeon being said? The only thing we know is that apparently less than $300 of Bitcoin was put into the Bitcoin account for the ransom. Maybe they could pay it some other way, maybe. I don't know what they've heard from the kidnappers. Maybe there's been a communication we don't know about, or ransom paid we don't know about. Tahoe says, why was Nancy's blood on the porch? We don't know exactly. Noval Loophole says, it's a big risk keeping someone captive this long. You know, look, in half an hour, they could say they have somebody else in custody. You don't know. I mean, it seems like at some point, something will just get announced out of the blue about the ransom, about her, about a suspect. All right. I'm thinking, guys, let me just do a quick alert, quick thing and see if I have any other updates. Again, the New York Post has a picture of a glove they say was found by people, by searchers, checking the roadside 1.5 miles from Nancy's house. I have certainly no information that that's the same glove as the kidnapper person, presumed kidnapper on the video was wearing. So maybe what I'll do, guys, maybe what I'll do guys, is take advantage of this time to go eat something. And who knows, there might be big updates at any moment. And if there's big updates, I'll come back on the air. If there's other big news, I'll come back on the air. But I think for now is probably the time to wrap this stream up. I'm sorry I don't have bigger, obviously, it'd be great to have an update about this thing being resolved and Nancy coming home, but really little news right now. Our viewer Justified Ancient says, I'm surprised there's been no more video from her daughter. Yeah, nothing from I haven't seen anything on the Savannah Guthrie Instagram page. I've been looking. No new press conference from law enforcement. So, anyways, again, I'll be keeping an eye on things. I can come on the air just like that or within a reasonable amount of time if something breaks. And I'll certainly be keeping an eye on it. But for now, I appreciate you joining us for this update. If you missed it, we did cover the police press conference about the terrible shooting in Canada, the school shooting yesterday. I don't think President Trump is finishing up this coal event. I don't think he's going to take questions there. But I'll keep an eye on it. I'll keep an eye on it as we wrap up here. But let's see. I'm looking at him right now. Is Trump going to take any questions? He's standing with a ton of people. No, now he's walking away. No, he's leaving. I'm looking at the Trump event, and he's leaving right now. I'll show you. Yeah, see, he's not taking questions. He's shaking hands. I mean, Saturday, President Trump said the investigation was going well, and he suggested that there could be a solution soon. Well, now it's Wednesday. All right. Hey, I would suggest I will post updates on X, which is at Lookner on X. That's my personal X account where I post breaking news. So, if while I am taking a break, if something happens that doesn't warrant a stream, I'll post it over there. You can follow me there if you want, at Lookner on X. And subscribe, follow the channel, Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda. And turn on the notifications so you don't miss a stream. We have our own notification system. It's free. It works great. You get sent a notification before we go live every time. The mods will post a link to sign up for the free notifications in the chat. You can go to the show description on YouTube and Facebook of this broadcast, and you can find the link there. Sign up for those so you get notified. Who knows? 10 minutes after I get off the air, there might be some big news. It just feels to me that something will happen with this at some point soon, but I don't know when. Okay. But I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate everybody letting me read your comments on the air, sending in your comments and your updates. Thanks for your news updates you're sending in, and we'll keep an eye on this. Huge shout out to our moderators too. Thanks so much to our moderators. Ruth over there on YouTube. Thank you so much, Ruth, and Roberts May Queen. We could not have our chat rooms without our moderators. Big thanks to them. On Twitch, all of our moderators over there. People like Big Ball of Yarn, I Got That Fired, Jay Joannid, Matthew Kohai 3, and all of our Twitch moderators. And our Facebook moderators, Kay Larry Body, Margaret Riley, Tina Niazi, Paul Anderson, thank you. Linda Bell, Larry, Misha on X. Huge thanks to all of our moderators. Thanks to everybody for supporting the channel. That's super nice of you guys. That's what allows the channel to exist. I owe a thank you to One Act CD. One Act CD says, Airport in El Paso services Fort Bliss. That is a busy base, so there could be valid reasons for not releasing info to the public. Thank you so much, One Act CD. And everybody else who supported the channel, and hopefully I got everybody. I think I got everybody, but thank you. That's very kind of you. But I will be keeping an eye on big news. Maybe we'll be back later, depending on what is happening. Also, we do have a chat on Discord, a free chat where you can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air. Check that out if you'd like. A bunch of our viewers like doing that. The link is the same link as the free notifications link. So check out the chat. And big thanks to our Discord moderators for helping out with our Discord chat. Also, if you're on X, I would suggest follow Agenda Free TV on X, even though the live streams aren't popping up like they normally would in the scroll. But I always post there to give you a heads up before we go live, and I post updates about the channel there at Agenda Free TV on X. And if you watch us on YouTube, hey, turn on the YouTube notifications. Another good way to make sure you're notified. The way you turn on the new YouTube notifications is you need to, here you go, subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and choose all notifications. If you're already subscribed, make sure you click the bell and choose all notifications so you get the notifications on YouTube. I do also want to shout out our Facebook subscribers, people like Christy Claft. Thank you for supporting the channel. Julie Cantrell Smith, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Louisa Knight, Michael Clayton, Sharon Klassen Goslin, And, oh, did I miss? Thanks again, Darlene Carrick and everybody else for the Facebook stars. Maxie Puig, Mikhail Isles Bar, Shirley Schultz. Thanks, Shirley Schultz. If I didn't thank you before, William Bauer, Kristen McConnell Gates. Thanks, Shirley, for the Facebook stars. Barry Eisler, thanks for being a member, and all of our thanks for being a subscriber. All of our other Facebook subscribers, thank you. Our Twitch subscribers, huge thanks. Wall Street Shaggy, Matthew Kohai 3, CC, and Tenfold, Flumpingtons, Justin D. Winters, Ascension Cannabis, Jax Haku, Naomi Rousseau, No Goal, Amalian, Static X, Gina Pina, I Got That Fire in My Mind Spray. Thanks for subscribing on Twitch, Susan CHF, and all of our other subscribers there, and our YouTube members, of course. Thanks again. I'll thank them again. They deserve to be thanked again. J.K. Senar, Betsy's Tag, Evelyn in Maine, Eric Johnson, UV Lightning, J.K. Senar, Miss Teddy H, Owl Hippie, Bella, Darren Cack, Taste Vim, The One and Only, thanks for being members. Dwayne Big Dude, Vegas Gem. Did I say Miss Teddy? Marty Hagwood, good to see you, Marty. Thanks also, Kristen Meisner, for watching. I Can't Dance, thanks for watching over there. Angie C, thanks for watching. Bulldog, Kush, Sketty Sandwich, Who Shot JR, thanks for watching. Kevster, thanks for watching on Twitch. No FX, thank you for watching. Playari, Toot, and also April Swartz, thanks for watching. Paula Thompson, Juliana Martin. All right, guys, I'm wrapping this up for now. I'm going to get something to eat. And I will be keeping an eye out. It's been 10 days. Let's hope that somehow we can hear that Nancy Guthrie is safe and that she can get returned to her family. Just unthinkable for the family, and this is still going on for them. As Samantha Guthrie said, it's a nightmare for the family. But I will keep an eye on this, and if there's a big update, I will come back on the air and we'll do more coverage. So that is it for now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.